All right, so have you ever, gotten ready for a trip and tried to cram everything into one suitcase?
Oh,
And you're
yeah.
just like, I hope this thing doesn't
You
explode.
just kind of sit on it and zip it up real quick.
Exactly. Well, today's deep dive is all about learning how to pack your React code strategically. So your app loads super fast and your users aren't left waiting around.
Love that analogy. We're going to be diving into some seriously cool techniques from the final episode of Unraveling React Internals. This is like expert level stuff, folks, so get ready to level up.
I'm excited. So our source material really digs deep into code splitting and lazy loading.
Okay.
So instead of chucking all your React code into one giant bundle, the idea is you break it down into smaller, more manageable pieces, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like when you pack for a trip, you wouldn't just throw your swimsuit and your winter coat in the same bag,
Right.
right? You'd separate them based on like when and where you need them. And code splitting is the same idea.
Okay, that makes total sense. But how do you actually split the code? Do you need a special code chainsaw or something?
Luckily, no chainsaws required. We can use dynamic imports, which let you load specific parts of your code on demand. And React also has these built-in features called lazy and suspense.
Oh, I've heard of those.
They're like the personal organizers of your code. They make sure everything loads right when you need it.
Okay, so let's say I'm building a big e-commerce app. I've got product listings, a shopping cart checkout process, user profiles. Would I split the code based on those different sections?
Definitely. You could have a separate bundle just for user authentication.
Right.
Another one for the product catalog and so on. That way, when a user first visits the site, they only download the code for the homepage.
Mm-hmm.
Then if they go to different sections, the relevant code chunks are loaded dynamically.
So it's like the app is only unpacking the suitcases it needs at that exact moment?
Exactly. And the best part is, it really cuts down on the initial load time. Users see content faster, which makes them happy. And Google also likes fast loading sites too, so it helps with your SEO. Everybody wins.
So code splitting is like giving your app that instant performance boost right out of the gate. But this source material has even more tricks up its sleeve, right? It talks about something called memoization.
Oh yeah, Memoization. One of my favorites because it makes your components so much smarter. So think about it. You have this component that's constantly recalculating something complex, even when the input data hasn't even changed. What a waste of effort.
Yeah, that sounds pretty annoying.
And that's where Memoization steps in. It's like React saying, hey, I already did this calculation once, no need to do it again.
So if we're sticking with the packing analogy, it's like remembering where you put your passport in your suitcase so you don't have to unpack everything every time you need it.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
React gives you a few tools to do this, like there's React.memo. This checks if a component's props have changed before re-rendering.
Okay.
If they haven't, it skips the re-render, and that saves you so much time.
That's really clever. What about hooks? Are there any memoization tricks we can use with hooks?
Absolutely. So we have useMemo. That's for memoizing expensive calculations.
Yeah.
And then there's useCallback. That's specifically for memoizing functions. They're like the dynamic duo of performance optimization for hooks.
Oh, nice. And for those of us who are, still working with those class components, we have the good old should component update lifecycle method.
Yep, that's the classic way of controlling re-renders in class components. It gives you a lot of control, but it can be a bit more manual. It's like packing your suitcase with a detailed checklist, making sure everything is in its place.
So we've got code splitting for loading things efficiently and then memoization for avoiding that unnecessary work. Our React app is turning into a lean, mean performance machine, but there's still more to unpack in this deep dive, right?
You bet. And this is where things get really interesting. The source material goes into React.dom.flushsync, which is used for batching updates and then profiling tools for finding those performance bottlenecks.
Ooh, sounds fancy.
Yeah, taking performance tuning to a whole new level.
So we're not just packing smart, we're optimizing the whole delivery route now.
Exactly. But we'll save those gems for the next part of our deep dive. Stay tuned.
Can't wait. So you're saying there's a way to make our React updates even more efficient?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm listening.
So think about it like this. You're making all these small changes to your app state, and every little change triggers a re-render. Like you're sending out a separate delivery truck for each tiny little package. Not very efficient.
No, not at all.
That's where React.dom.flushsync comes in. It lets you bundle all those updates together into one efficient shipment, like combining those deliveries into one big truck.
Yeah.
Saves you a ton of time and resources.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Instead of a bunch of little re-renders, you get this one smooth, optimized update. Much better.
I like it. So we can use that to batch the updates, but to really fine-tune performance, we need to know where the bottlenecks are, right?
Exactly. And that's where profiling tools come in.
Profiling tools, what is that? Like putting my code under a microscope.
Pretty much. The React DevTools Profiler is amazing for this. It lets you record and analyze how your app performs, and then you can pinpoint which components are slowing things down. It's like a performance report card for your code.
Interesting. So you can see which parts of the app are slacking off and need a little extra attention.
Yep. It's like X-ray vision for your code.
Yeah.
You see what's going on under the hood so you can make those targeted improvements.
This is awesome. Okay, but wait, we haven't even talked about server-side rendering and hydration yet. This is supposed to be like a total game changer for first impressions and SEO, right?
You're right. Server-side rendering, or SSR, is all about making your app load incredibly fast, especially that very first paint when someone lands on your page. Imagine your React components partially built on the server before they even get to the user's browser.
Whoa. Okay.
Like you're getting a head start.
So the server does the initial rendering to generate that HTML.
Exactly. And then when that HTML reaches the browser, that's where hydration takes over.
Hydration.
Okay. It basically attaches the JavaScript logic to the HTML, so the page becomes interactive. It's like adding the electricity and plumbing to a pre-built house. Now it's a real home someone can live in.
I like that. So the server lays the groundwork and the client side adds the dynamic parts. Nice teamwork.
Teamwork makes the dream work right. And the benefits are huge. Users see that fully rendered page almost instantly, which means better perceived load times. Plus, search engines love it because they can easily crawl and index that pre-rendered HTML. SEO boost.
That's amazing. But I'm guessing there are some things to be careful about with SSR, especially with handling data.
Good point. Data fetching is really important when it comes to SSR. You need to make sure the data needed to render those components on the server is available during the whole server-side rendering process.
Right.
Otherwise, you might run into problems like a flash of unstyled content or inconsistencies between what the server renders and what the user sees on the client side.
So if you're fetching data from an API, you have to do that on the server before you send that HTML to the client.
Exactly. There are a bunch of different strategies for data fetching in SSR, and the one you choose really depends on what your app needs and how complex that data is.
So SSR is super powerful, but you have to plan things out carefully.
Definitely. It can really boost your app's performance and visibility when done right. It's like a turbo boost and a VIP pass to the top of the search results.
That's a great way to put it. We've covered so much today. Code splitting, memoization, React.memo, flush sync profiling, and now server-side rendering and hydration.
Wow. Yeah, we have.
Our React optimization skills are through the roof now.
We've definitely learned a ton about how to optimize React apps for performance. But remember, this is like a journey.
Yeah, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
It's all about continuous learning and getting better over time.
So we covered a ton of ground in this deep dive. From code splitting and memoization to server-side rendering and hydration, our listeners must be feeling like React performance optimization experts by now.
I hope so. But like with anything, mastering these techniques takes practice. This deep dive gave everyone the tools, but the real magic happens when you apply them to your own projects.
Exactly. And for me, the big takeaway is that optimization isn't just about memorizing a bunch of tricks.
Right?
It's about really understanding how React works and then making smart decisions to give your users the best possible experience.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
It's about combining that technical knowledge with a passion for building apps that are both performant and a joy to use.
Well said. Any final words of wisdom for our listeners as we wrap up this deep dive?
Yeah, I'd say embrace the fact that performance optimization is an ongoing process. Don't be afraid to experiment, to try new things, and to always be learning.
Right.
The world of React is constantly changing, so staying curious and pushing the boundaries is key.
I love that. It's not about reaching some finish line of perfect performance. It's about constantly trying to make things better.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. The React community is amazing. It's full of passionate developers who love to share what they know and help each other out. So go out there, connect with other devs, and keep the conversation going.
Couldn't have said it better myself. A huge thank you to our expert for all the incredible insights and for making these advanced concepts so easy to understand.
Happy to be here. I always enjoy talking about React performance.
And to all our listeners out there, we hope this deep dive has empowered you to build React apps that are not only lightning fast, but truly a pleasure to use.
Keep experimenting, keep learning, and keep building amazing things.
Until next time, happy coding.